Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is great. Everything here is really good. Yesterday, I talked about burnout and how burnout might not necessarily be a bad thing. And part of that was that I think I had gone through a little period there of burnout, but maybe not. Depends on how you define burnout, I think. And it depends on maybe what burnout actually is versus the way people use it. I'm not going to claim that I understand some sort of definition that is beyond you or beyond everybody else who uses the term burnout. What I simply mean is, yesterday I was talking about my inability to focus, my inability to think, my inability to really provide the necessary motivation and energy to work on the projects that I've been working on. All of that was related to the side job. Day job's been okay. Like, I have to provide energy to that, right? Like, that is what pays my bills. Now, the side job does pay me enough that if I could maximize my time there, like I'm allowed X number of hours a week. If I had that full allotted time every week and I could keep that going, I could live off of that. It's less than I'm currently making at my employer, but it's about what I used to make before I got my pay raise. So I could survive on it. But that's not the point. The point is, day job, I have to provide energy. And for the most part, I'm very rarely baffled there. There are times when there are tasks that are overwhelming, but they're overwhelming in scope, not necessarily in complexity. The side job is sometimes overwhelming in complexity. It's an extremely complex system that is doing a lot of really thinky things, and it is not a type of programming that I've done in a very, very, very long time. You know, I'm writing CRUD apps. I'm writing just basic, put this in a database and then spit it back out later type of stuff. Whereas the side job is graphically intense, it's math intense, there's a lot going on there. So the burnout that I experienced was my inability to provide value. Now, this was like a 2-minute and 2.5 minute long way of saying I was dumb last week. I was really just unable to figure anything out. And that's a problem, right? I'm a professional thinker. Like, that's what I do for a living. I think. I'm a translator. I take an idea, a customer's idea of what they want a program to do, and I translate that into a foreign language that we call JavaScript or PHP or Perl or whatever. I translate that idea into machine language that can then generate that idea, right? I think for a living. That's what I do for a living, is think. And sometimes when it comes down to achieving a thing, when it comes down to, this bug is doing this, sometimes the thinking is, actually I should say all of the time. All of the time, the thinking is a larger part of the process than the actual doing. Now, if you're making a new application, then yes, a lot of times the doing is more intense than the thinking. But once you've got the framework running, the visuals, all that sort of stuff running, then it turns into every change requires way more thinking than it does actual work. Sometimes I have spent an entire day, 8 hours. Actually, we talked a few weeks ago or months ago that I worked on a bug for 2.5 years, and the fix was one line of code. One line of code is all I needed to change to fix that bug, and it took me 2.5 years of thinking to figure it out. Obviously, I didn't think straight about nothing else. But there have been days where I will spend 8 hours on a problem to only change a couple of characters or a couple of digits. The thinking is what I'm getting paid to do, right? Last week I was incapable of doing that thinking. For some reason I just couldn't. So yesterday, after talking about burnout, I went and looked through my tickets. I picked one that I thought, I'm going to tackle this, even though I had attempted it the previous week and couldn't figure it out. And within minutes, I had it working. It was like 30 minutes, but it was still minutes. It wasn't hours, right? And it was as simple as, all of the tabs that I had previously opened were still open in my browser. I looked and went, oh, like it's right there. Like it's exactly what they're showing on that screen is what I need to do. Like I could just copy and paste, change a couple of naming conventions, and it works. And that's what happened, right? I went at it with a fresh mind, with fresh eyes, and went, oh yeah, I just need to copy and paste. Now, does that mean that the work that I did last week was unnecessary? I don't think so. So my question here today is, was this like an intelligence spike? Was I actually dumb last week? Recovering from this sinus infection that I had, did that did my brain power suffer in that effort? Maybe it did. Maybe I had like a mild inflammation in my brain, and it literally slowed me down mentally. I don't know. But what I know is taking the same exact information in on yesterday, Monday, I immediately saw the path to conclusion, and I implemented the solution, and we're done. Like, I maybe spent, I don't know, total 2.5 hours yesterday total on something that I spent many hours on last week trying to figure out, and I never even made the first degree of headway. And that's really frustrating because I want to know, like, was I just smarter yesterday? Was I just better rested? Was I in that frame of reference that I was able to absorb that information more easily? What is there? There's got to be a way to repeat that so that in the future, when I get overwhelmed like I was last week, I can turn things around and go, no, you're not overwhelmed. You're just not comprehending this. Slow down, figure it out, move forward. And maybe that's the solution. I mean, the product owner has told me before, just slow down, take this one step at a time, figure it out, you're doing great. I do need to slow down. That's an issue for sure. But this lack of intelligence or inability to focus, I don't know what that is. And it's really frustrating. That's all the notes I have. So there's got to be a way for me to make more days like yesterday and less days like last week. When I say that, though, I would say that days like last week, days where I feel dumb, are not that often. And maybe, like I said yesterday, maybe the burnout is like a good thing. Maybe it is like, take a break. You think too much. Like, thinking is my job and that's all I do. Maybe I'm overthinking and I just need to just take a break. Walk away for a little bit. Come back to it. As much as I don't want to let down the product owner, I want to be able to provide him value, continuing value. I want to keep this relationship going. I really enjoy the work. I also have to recognize that I'm not providing value in this moment. And if I'm going to sit here and stare at this, I'm just wasting his money. And that's not okay either. I didn't charge him for some of that time that I spent last week because I felt like he shouldn't have to pay for that. So, intelligence spikes. Are they real or am I just imagining things? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know sounds smart is overweening. It is an adjective meaning extremely presumptuous, arrogant, and overconfident. Golf is an open exhibition of overweening ambition, courage deflated by stupidity, skills soured by a whiff of arrogance. Alistair Cook, a British-born American journalist and broadcaster. Overweening, O-V-E-R-W-E-E-N-I-N-G. See, I would have taken that to mean something along the lines of when you wean somebody off of something. Isn't that to like reduce their exposure or be, whatever? Interesting. That's an interesting word.